They call it the Dark Ages. They call it the medieval period, but exactly how long did it last? The medieval period actually spans a space of 1,000 years. There are civilizations out there that have lasted for less time than one age of Britain. It was called the medieval period by Renaissance people. You might also have heard it called the Dark Ages. That is not a term used by historians now, who do firmly believe that the age was not dark or devoid of amazing inventions and growth. It's called the Dark Ages because it was felt that Rome, being in Britain, had been the absolute pinnacle. They got their toilets, they got their art, they'd got literature and culture, and all of a sudden they're back to, you know, muck and being Celtic warriors and constant warring. And it was felt that that golden age was over, and they entered into a period where there wasn't particularly anything brilliant to talk about. That just isn't the case. So first of all, we don't call it the Dark Ages anymore. So the medieval period is actually split into three. First of all, we have the low medieval period. This lasts for around about 500 years. We see in the beginning likely types of King Arthur type people, warring tribes, Celts warring against Saxons who were coming in. We find that slowly over time, Britain is unified under one leader, one king. We see the rise of Charlemagne and his empire. We see a movement into what we call the High Middle Ages. And that is a time where feudal lordships, that is really expanding, this feudal system, this idea that serfs, workers are owned by a baron, and they can work the land, but they're paying towards him. The Norman conquest in 1066 really cements this kind of idea. Barons are given lots of lands, they pay dues to the king, and all the serfs work for the barons. And that is pretty grim. But we also see the advent of universities. Remember, we said this is not a dark age. There was enlightenment. There were bright spots. Oxford University, for example, came around in around 1076. The very first university that came to being in Britain. And we also saw things like amazing architecture, beautiful Gothic cathedrals being built. I mean, when you think about how they put the spire on Chesterfield, the cathedral's so high, they didn't have cranes, they just had men who would be cutting this stuff, and it's so precise and so beautiful. So no, we can't say this was a dark age where people weren't learning. There were also major advances in agriculture and commerce. But then that period lasts from around the 1000 to around 1250. And then we get into a period which we call the late Middle Ages. This is a time where the bubonic plague visits. There is massive demographic shifts across the nation. There is a lot of warring, and it is a time of great unrest. Probably the darkest period, and then all of a sudden the Renaissance turns up. So we have to be thinking Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo and lots of Ponzi Italians turning up and being like, oh yeah, we're amazing. And it is a time of great enlightenment, and they just completely looked down on what was achieved for that 1,000 years that went before, and there was an awful lot of good. So as a historian yourself, as somebody who is interested in history, what do you think? Do you believe that the name Dark Ages was one that was well given by people who didn't even live in that period? Was it a time where we just went backwards and we lived in filth and muck because the Romans had gone home? Or is it actually a great period of industry, of unification, of the beginnings of brilliance, of the start of education? Religion was coming along. Is it actually a time, a very special time in the history, specifically of Britain, where there was actually massive growth? I would like to say that I personally believe that I understood what the Dark Ages were, and I did think, oh, well, we stopped using these toilets that the Romans brought, so yes, it was just a dismal time. But having looked at it now, I think that even that medieval, the mid-period of our history, it really does a disservice. What should we call it instead? So I hope in the comments box below, you are giving me ideas. Instead of medieval, what else could we call this period of time? It obviously comes before the Renaissance, which was, you know, this great time of enlightenment. But what could we call it? I think it was a time when Britain really found its beginning and its roots. It was a period of greatness. And personally, all my favourite kings lived during that whole time, except for Henry VIII. But there again, it's Henry VIII. So, if you love histories and you love mysteries, why not hit the description box below, sign up, and I will send you something fabulous and a mystery of sorts into your inbox. Bye for now.